I just want to take time to thank the Cal Poly team in the journalism department for all of the many hours that they took to interview friends and family. It just means everything to Daryl and I, and we just feel so blessed, and we just hope that everyone else who watches it would be blessed as well.
Hey. Hey, you. Yes, you. Do you know that you matter? Is there somewhere within your heart where you feel like you don't? Whoever you are, whatever you're going through, your life has meaning. There is a true purpose for you in this world. You were created uniquely and have people here who love you, truly love you, need you. We lost Mikey. He mattered to all of us.
There's a million ways to describe Mikey.
He was like that perfect balance of charismatic,
free-spirited,
bubbly and happy,
silly and goofy and laugh and just make the whole room crack up and light up.
So yeah, he's just all-around stud.
How did he not know? Where was the disconnect? Mikey always made time for people. He would go beyond the superficial level and dive into the deep stuff. As a mother of 5, I put my family as a top priority. I want more than anything for them to know that they're loved, that they matter. So how is it that even if you love someone more than life itself, even if you put their needs and their happiness before your own, they can still feel so alone? How is it that my son Mikey lost hope in his life?
Yeah, I just have really vivid memories of Mikey, you know, looking me in the eye and just being really intentional with what he was saying and always just conveying love and care. I don't think anyone in his life thought anything bad about him. While that can be seen as a good thing, it's also just really hard when you know everyone sees you a certain way, but you know what's inside, and that's too much for people. You could also just be so intentional with conversations and have really deep conversations and think deeply and know how to be there for someone and how to listen to someone, which was really special to have that balance in him and just see the different sides of him.
On January 3rd, 2019, we lost our son Mikey to suicide. To say that I never saw it coming would be an understatement. To me, Mikey was more full of life than anyone I'd ever known. It turns out, however, that our family is not alone in this. According to the American Association of Suicidology, about 50% of people in the U.S. know someone who has died by suicide in their lifetime. As part of that 50%, we now know the pain of losing a loved one to suicide. To show just how wide the epidemic of suicide is, the CDC reports that suicide is the second leading cause of death for people ages 10 through 24, beating out all disease. Furthermore, the suicide rate among these age groups climbed 56% in one decade between 2007 and 2017. I know these statistics can be disheartening, but the reason we are sharing this with you here today is not to make you feel hopeless, but to show you that there are ways to help prevent such a tragedy. For starters, the CDC also reported that 4 out of 5 suicide deaths are preceded by warning signs.
His cry for help was so subtle, that I just didn't pick up on the cues, And I think it's just more of a, take people a lot more seriously about what they're saying, ask them deeper questions. we're seeing this, ideation and actual committing of suicide on the rise, and especially with the isolation that we're, facing now during this time, and because it's interesting how people seem to get caught in their heads about fixating on something, and it really, it's about knowing that they matter, knowing that they're heard, knowing that someone cares about them in some way,
There are people who care about you, love you, you matter. Your life has true significance. Just know that there is someone who wants to listen to you, someone who wants to hear your story and walk alongside you on your journey.
It just makes me realize that material things and what I'm doing today isn't as important as my relationships, and so my relationships with people and my relationship with God are more important, and to take advantage, to invest in the relationships.
I know everyone has a different belief system, or maybe none at all. But what was important to our family during this time was our faith in God, because without it, I would not have been able to endure losing Mikey. The community that surrounded us carried us through this time. Sometimes in this life, we put importance on material things and our human achievements, and not on people. People are what matter, and it takes time to invest in our relationships. And I think we need to think more about that. We need to invest our time in people, and that's what matters.
I think how I feel like I matter is when people see me. So, regardless of if I answered the question very well about what matters and if people matter, I think what makes me feel like I matter is just being seen for who I am, and just
knowing that, people love me, people like me, just like I'm a friend to people, I'm a family member. I don't know, it just makes me feel like I'm part of somebody else's life.
While knowing you matter is something that others can help instill in you, it is also important for you to find it in yourself. Being able to reach out and to be open with those around you. Focusing on those connections will help you to a point in really knowing you matter. But it's up to you to truly believe in your own heart to know that you matter. Just know that you can be your own authentic self. You don't need to try to please others by trying to be like someone else. You can accept and love yourself. Your life has true meaning in this world, and there are people who love you very much.
Why is it important? Because it's so important. You need to know that you are needed on this world, that people love you, and that you're not alone, that there are people out there who want to help you and people who need your help too.
Happiness is a horrible thing to chase because it's so fleeting. And I think meaning is much more important to pursue. And knowing that you matter gives meaning and purpose for life. It's knowing that the hard days and the loneliness and the sadness, they're not going to be wasted. It's not wasted time. It's not wasted moment. Hardships aren't a waste.
In Mikey's case, he was always focused on those around him and was intentional about investing in deep connections with others. He understood how it felt to make sure that others knew they mattered. But is there somewhere in our own lives where we reach out to others to make them feel like they matter, when deep within our own hearts, we may not feel that we matter to others?
I think in Mikey's case, it didn't look like he was without connection, even some interest, with the people that you have that with, possibly even a new person in your life. I just think that inquisitive desire for somebody to even know more about you and not stop with where you're from. I mean, if given the opportunity and stepping into that, almost like in that moment, the person can feel like they are the only person in the room. And I think it can start with that. Then following it up and going further is like not forgetting what people have told you and like following up on that. Like what happened with that? I mean, they're small things, but I think can make a big difference. Cueing in on maybe some painful stuff and going, tell me about it. Go further, letting people go further. And in essence, being available, you know, to even make time for that.
So I think we need to listen more to people and understand where they're coming from, and we need to be decent to people and try to understand them. I mean, even if you don't care about a person that much, it's a terrible thing to happen.
I think it's really important to realize like the weight of your words, and if you say like, oh, let's hang out this day, but you don't come through, that really hurts someone. So like, I think when you say something, it needs to really mean something and hold some truth in it. Like, if a friend calls, like, and you can't pick up, like, call them back, you know? It's the little things like that, and just, like, making time for people and showing them that you love them through just, like, smiling at them or just, like, having a conversation. Like, it really does, like, hold some significance in the small things.
Yeah, I think time is the most important thing because that's the one aspect of life we can't get back. So investing time in others is, I think, the most impactful thing we can do. My dad said to me once, like, you can know how meaningful your day is by the amount of time you spent with people you love.
What you see on the outside, you know, or like you see somebody's life and you think, oh, it's perfect, you know, they've got whatever they have. What's deep down inside of a person, it may not be, you may see something on the outside, but on the inside, somebody may be going through something really deep, really emotional, really hard.
I just want to say that no matter what you may be going through in your life, there is someone who wants to hear you, to see you, to know you. Reach out. There is support for you.
So yeah, I just want to reiterate the most important thing that I'm feeling is just letting people know that shame is a lie. It's a lie. Shame's a lie, man. It's not real. You don't feel like you need to have these thoughts and these feelings and these sensations by yourself. You're not alone. You're not alone.
Knowing you matter exists for the purpose of showing you, the one considering, the one who survived, and the family and friends of the lost matter through community outreach and support. Our foundation was birthed out of the tragic loss of our son. In the process of forming this foundation, our hope is that Mikey's legacy of love will live on in this world, that every human being will know within themselves just how much their life truly matters. And if our story can help even one person with this realization, we have succeeded. Being Mikey's parents was one of our most fulfilling and joyful experiences. Mikey was a light in each and every life around him. In the wake of this tragedy, our foundation came into being for these reasons. If there's one thing that Mikey worked for in each and every day of his life, it was to make sure that those around him knew they mattered. So in honor of his legacy and who he was, we aim to carry out his mission in his absence to tell you that you matter. So even though Mikey lived his life in this way, somehow he could not see that he mattered to us and to everyone around him. Our son died because he could not see that he mattered. So our message is this: tell your kids they matter. Tell your sister, your brother that they matter. Tell your friends, your family, even strangers on the street that they matter. And please, for our sake and for Mikey, tell yourself and believe in your heart that you matter to all of us.